Everyone, and welcome. My name is Shannon Morales. I am the CEO and founder of Tribaja, and AKA your tech career plug. I'm super excited to be here. Today is Diversitech fall hiring event, as well as our Hispanic or Latinx Heritage Month celebration. So, just a quick run of show of what today entails. From 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will find us here in AirMeet having amazing conversations, fireside chats with some really amazing individuals in the tech space and those who are also really big advocates for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and of course, belonging. From 3 to 5 p.m., you will find us in Brazen, where we'll be doing the speed interview events with 10 companies spanning across venture backed startups all the way to enterprises who are hiring right now. I'm sure you all have seen my post on LinkedIn sharing a couple of the companies that are going to be there today. And so you'll be able to have one on one conversations with them. So I'm really excited about that. And then, of course, if you're based local to us in Philadelphia, you'll be able to join us from 6 to 9 p.m. for an amazing cocktail reception at Terra in Philly. So, without further ado, I want to introduce you to someone who is very special to me, Jeanette Seha. She is an amazing award winning TV host. I met her in Miami, and I just thought she would be amazing to host this event today. So, I know you all are sad, but I actually will not be hosting Diversitech this time around. I will be here very engaged in the comments, chatting with you all, networking with you both here as well as on LinkedIn and any other social channels that you can find Tribaja. So I am going to turn it over and I will see you all very, very, very soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shannon. I'm so excited to be here and really honored. You're in good hands. I love to be of support and to hear your stories. Like Shannon mentioned, I do a lot of the hosting and moderating. So for me, this is amazing and I can't wait to learn. So we'll just go ahead and get started with our first discussion. And I have our speakers coming up on the stage. So we have Desiree Morton and Alexandra Cheka. So welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yes. And today's conversation, we will be talking about unapologetically Latinas and tech. And you both come with an array of experience, and I'm excited to hear a little bit more about you. So I'll just share a little bit, and we'll start with Desiree. And Desiree is on a mission to change the way we think about power, equity, and access. She's the director of DEIB at Magoosh, and she's the co-founder of Visibly Co. She's also a mother and an amazing woman. So I can't wait to hear all about what you have to say, Desiree. And then we have Alexandra here. She is a Peruvian American e-commerce entrepreneur and storyteller of the creative side of technology. And she has a background in marketing and is now in the Web3 space, helping companies find and grow their communities. And she's also with MetaTwin. So welcome, Desiree and Alexandra. So we'll just leave it up to the floor to you. It'll be more like a conversation, being that we are in Hispanic and Latina Heritage Month. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and then what got you into the technology space? We can start with you, Desiree.
Sure. So it's funny you mentioned I'm a mom because I went off camera there for a second to lock the door. It's my twins' birthday actually today, so they're turning 3. And sometimes they'll pop in and I'll have those moments. So a little bit about me. As you mentioned, I'm Desiree. I am located right now in Atlanta, Georgia. And I've been here for about 2 years now. Love it here. I am multiracial, so I am Mexican American. My mom is Mexican American, and my dad is African American. And yeah, that's a bit about kind of where I came from. I grew up in a single parent household in Indiana, and have been moved around the country quite a bit, and am settled here now. And I think Atlanta is home, but don't quote me. Spent a few years in Silicon Valley, and that's where I got my start in tech. So it was really just a curiosity and an outsider's view of my partner worked in tech first. And so watching him experience big tech as a Black man was really eye-opening to me. And I was like, I want to get in there. I want to like be a part of this. I want to see if I can make change. And so from then on, I've been hooked, and I've been working to change the status quo.
Incredible. And Alexandra, tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into this space.
Yeah, so good to meet you all. A little about myself. I was born in Peru to an amazing mom and obviously dad too. Around 7 years old, my parents divorced, and my mom decided to enter a visa lotto where she won. I don't think she was expecting to win, but then she got the letter and she was like, "Oh, you have a visa to go to the United States." So my mom just, picked up her 7-year-old and was like, "We're gonna go to the United States all by ourselves." And being a parent, I just want to say, like, I don't know how you guys do it. I think it's like the hardest job ever. And so, yeah, I've been in the United States for about 15 years. I used to live in California, and then I moved to Miami a year ago. And my career, to be quite honest with you, I think is still evolving. I don't think I've gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, this is my thing. Like, this is my mission. This is my goal. However, I have let go of all the resistance finally. And I have, like, my mindset now, it's like, okay, I'm going to go where I am welcomed. I'm going to go where I know I enjoy the work. And that's how I got into the Web3 space. I used to be in e-commerce, selling, buying, all of that. And when I moved to Miami, I ended up doing a Art Basel event for Ferrari. And I had no idea, truthfully, what I was doing because I didn't know Web3. I didn't even know what NFTs were. But again, I was invited to join the team, and from there, I started my Web3 journey, I like to call it, because it's still not close to being done. So I am a people person. I'm finally understanding, my strengths and what I'm good at, and I'm using that to go into tech because I think tech is finally becoming more dynamic. I think that tech has had this like really just not boring, but very black and white face for a long time. And now we are seeing people from many different parts of many different fields, even art, just saying, hey, I'm actually in tech. I'm doing marketing for them. I'm doing storytelling for them. So I like to call myself a storyteller in the creative side of technology because I love stories. I think stories is what kind of drives people in, what makes people connect. So that's a little about me in a nutshell.
That's great. And thank you so much, Alexandra. We'll definitely touch back on Web3 space and where you see that going. I'd love to hand it over to Desiree because, as a mom as well, how do you balance everything? And for any of, our attendees out there who are also working parents, how do you balance everything and, work in technology and have that great balance?
Yeah, I would say working remotely is a really, really amazing kind of addition to the balance for me. Before the pandemic, I was in roles that were in person. I was living in Silicon Valley. I was, on transportation. I tried driving. I tried tech shuttles. I tried the BART, which is like the subway, above ground subway. And all of those things made it really, really difficult for me to achieve balance. And I would say I didn't really feel like a great balance. What I did in that situation, because, sometimes you just gotta like be where you are to get where you want to go, was that I tried to make the most of kind of every moment that I had with my little one. I only had one then, and just like really be as present as possible when I was there with her. So really compartmentalizing my time. And then I communicated really clearly too at work, like, okay, I'm going to work late tomorrow. We have, an event. I've always been in the culture side. So we have an event tomorrow night. I'm going to work late. So I'm going to be here late. And in the morning, I will not be online. Here's kind of the updates that you need. maybe tomorrow, and I'll see you at this time, 11 a.m. or whatever that time was. So just being really clear with my boundaries as well, and making sure that I communicated that so people weren't looking for me, and that also was incredibly helpful. But I would say now, like, remote work makes it so much easier, and finding a workplace that is supportive, and doesn't mind kind of seeing the little peaks of curly hair, is also incredible.
That's so great. And I think a lot of the attendees here is also, looking at the chat, they're really engaged and it's inspiring. So thank you so much. And all right. So Alexandra, we'll shift to you as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Web3 space and anyone who might be here who wants to get involved? Where do you see it going? And how does it feel to be in this space, especially as a Latina? And yeah, do you see the opportunities and how is everything in there?
Yeah, that I laughed at that because my parents still don't know what I do for work. And that happened even when I was in e-commerce. They just didn't know what I did for work. And the joke has always been that during Thanksgiving dinner, my aunts and my family would say, "Oh, what's Alex do?" We're like, "What does Alex do for work?" And I think my mom got so tired of like not understanding what I did for work that she just ended up telling people that I work for Google, which I do not work for Google. Like, I did not work for Google. And I kept telling my mom, I was like, "Mom, you cannot be saying that." She's like, "Well, why do I tell people?" And I'm like, I've explained to you what I do. So she's like, "I'm just going to tell people that you work for the internet." So it's like a joke where it's like, "Oh, what's Alex doing?" Alex is working for the internet. But with that said, I think with Web3, it's even more confusing, right? So one of my goals is to make it easy to understand. So easy that my mom and parents in general could understand what Web3 means and what I do for work every day. So if you want to get involved with Web3, I would say the easiest way is to just go to meetups, like networking events where people are interested in Web3, and kind of talk to them about that. Because then you're able to understand exactly where you could fit. So for example, I'm in tech, but I'm not in the back end, right? I know how to code, but I don't necessarily want to be a coder. I'm not a software developer. However, I am in the front end where it comes to building community. How do I get people to be interested in what we're doing? How do I get people to understand what we're doing? And that comes more naturally to me. And the great part is that you are getting paid, right? A tech salary regardless. Obviously, if you have more experience, you get paid more. But I think that if you are marketing, if you are in anything creative, it's just such a great idea to find a tech company that's hiring for that because the salary is great. And also, you also have the chance to make tech fun for other people. Like people, for example, at Microsoft, I had no idea that this job existed, and it's called storytelling. And that's all they do for every single feature, for every single product that they launch. They need a story, right, to get people in. If you're a great writer, go work for Microsoft. So those little things, I think that Web3 has helped kind of bring in, because I think in Web3, it's all about everything is decentralized, crypto, NFTs, all of that, new forms of payment. But it's given tech a new phase of you can be in tech, you just have to use whatever skills you have and also learn how to sell yourself, right? Like, hey, I can do this for your company, hire me, and I have all this Web2 experience. So yes, to answer your question, I think that Web3 is here to stay. Obviously, I think that there needs to be more education around it so people can understand. And me being here in Miami, that is one of my goals to do, especially with the Latin community.
Such great advice, and thank you so much, Alexandra, for sharing your journey. And we'll start. Desiree, would you have anything you'd like to add? I know you are DEIB. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that entails at Magoosh and as the co-founder of Visibly?
Yes. So I will say, like, I've been in DEI in tech now for 7 or 8 years. It is evolving really, really quickly, and changing a lot. And so it's an interesting part of the workplace to be in, because it really varies by company and varies by even like stage of the company's DEI journey. So DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion, for anyone who doesn't know that. And really what we're focused on is kind of multiple parts, I'll say, but like getting diverse voices into the workplace, and then supporting the company to invite those perspectives in, make use of them, hear those voices, make sure they're included, and folks feel comfortable kind of speaking up and saying, hey, that might not work for my community, or that might not work for somebody who grew up with a background like me. And then the equity part is then trying to support those folks to elevate within the company. And I think that is where the work is right now. And that's actually why I founded Visibly. So Visibly is working with companies to create equity. And we're really focused on providing resources to talent that is underrepresented and under-resourced, under-supported, all of those unders in the workplace, to make them feel seen, and provide them with coaches that get it, and can really provide them the additional resources that they need to progress and be successful in the ways that matter to them. So so trying to like scale that and support companies and challenge them to push a little bit more, but I guess beyond equality to equity, which is I think the future of DEI work.
So great. Thank you, Desiree. It's great and really inspiring to be with you both, and to hear your stories and how you're both in your own ways making an impact and using your voices for the community. And I think being a great role model and example, because I think visibility is important. So if we see you're doing it and you're in the space, you never know how it can inspire others who are watching even right now. So going forward, is there any advice that you have that you wish your younger self had that you'd like to share with one of us? And also, yes, I'd love to ask Alexandra if you could share a little bit as well about MetaWin as well. So we can go ahead and start with you, Alexandra.
Oh yeah, sure. So MetaWin is a Web3 competition platform. People play games and the prizes are NFTs. It's a very, very straightforward, very simple platform to use. One of the reasons why I wanted to work with them, one is I think there's a lot of perks to working with a startup, mainly because their operations aren't like set in stone, so there's a lot of room for growth. And I think that was one of the first companies that came to me and said, hey, whatever you're good at, whatever you feel like really passionate about, we want you to do that here. And so every day that I go to work, I'm like, oh, I actually get to do what I really like. And so it was a really hard offer not to take, because I think that not in a bad way, but I think that sometimes other humans want to put you in boxes, like you do this, you do this. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like that, right? Because nobody likes doing one thing over and over and over and over again, especially when it comes to work. So yeah, the company that I work for now, one, it's fun because people are winning NFTs all the time. And two, I get to kind of like do exactly what I'm created about and good at. So
it's exciting. Yeah, thank you for sharing more with us, Alexandra. And it shows that you both love what you do. And that's also important, and a lot of the people that are on here are, in the chat as well, mentioning they're looking for new opportunities. So it's exciting. And there's also a question in the chat about mentoring. Did you have any mentors throughout your career, or are you a mentee? And if so, how has that impacted your trajectory? We can start with you, Desiree.
Yeah. So I will say I have two kind of folks that come to mind. Both are women of color. My first one was actually my first manager when I worked in higher education. And I will say, having a Black woman as as a direct manager doesn't happen very often in any industry, but I think I felt so seen by her, I felt so pushed by her, but also supported. And there's like a really nice kind of balance there of like, you can do this, and if you fail, I will be there, and we can figure it out together. And so yeah, much love to her. And then I will say like the second one actually came when I took on this role at Magoosh. So I have the director title. It was my first time having that title, and I was like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? I'm used to being like kind of like in the like in the role with peers who are also, BIPOC, who are also from underrepresented communities. And so like typically that's how I've mobilized folks. And I believe that a big part of DEI work is mobilizing, but being in a leadership role then where I was the only person of color, the only person who was from a Latinx or Black background, I was like, oh man, like now I don't know how I relate to this power and to the folks that I'm trying to serve and the folks that I'm trying to amplify. And so that's where having a mentor was actually super helpful. She's Latina. She was like a general counsel. And so she just like really supported me in finding my voice and in finding out how I could use my power to serve others and advocate from this new position of being powerful in the organization, but also still marginalized in my identities, which is a new experience for so many of us.
Incredible. How about you, Alexandra? Was there any mentors or any important people in your life who helped you along the way, and or are you mentee to others as well? You mentor.
Yeah, I think a lot of my mentors have always come in forms of books. I like reading a lot. But honestly, when you asked that question, the first person that came to my mind was my history teacher in high school, Miss Colleen. She was very, very, very hard on students, but in a good way, because she expected a lot from you, and it was a good thing. But one day she came to me and she goes, you're doing really well, right? And I was like, no, I don't think so. It just like everybody's hard on themselves, right? And sometimes it's really hard to take a compliment or to believe when someone tells you you're doing great, because you're not up to your own expectations. But I think that was the first time, and I think it was maybe 15, where I came to that realization of I probably shouldn't be so hard on myself. Like if someone sees it, there's a big problem in me not seeing that myself. So just those little words that she said, that kind of changed how I see everything that I do. So I think she was a mentor. But honestly, lately I have been following, and maybe you guys know, I have been following this woman called Dani Garcia. She is, so she works with The Rock. Everybody knows Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, so she's kind of I didn't know this, but she actually ended up becoming one of the first women to have a majority ownership on a professional football league, and I thought that was just awesome. Like she's the first woman out there, and like you look at her Instagram, you feel inspired just by that. So I'm trying to manifest this, like I want to work with Dani in some way, just kind of mentor. So that would be like my future mentor, but my past mentors has been mainly books, honestly.
That's amazing. And what's her Instagram so we can follow her? Or how do we follow her?
I'm gonna put it on the chat because I'm awesome. Telling you feel so cool, and you're like, oh my god, it's a fangirl, and I don't fangirl from like J-Lo because I love J-Lo. But it's just like in another level. She's just like, I'm gonna accomplish my goals. So let's see, Dani Garcia.
Thank you so much, and we wish that for you. I hope you manifest that for sure. And you never know, 6 degrees of separation, so it could happen sooner than you think. Thank you so much. And just briefly, what are your books? Some of the books you mentioned. Do you have any of those as well you'd like to share with us?
Absolutely. So actually, my computer is sitting on one of them right now. I think everybody has read this book. It's called Tool of Titans. Tool of Titans is really good because basically Tim Ferriss goes out and interviews a lot of entrepreneurs, sports, athletes, just everything, people that are really successful, and they ask them, hey, how did you do this? So it's a lot of stories that you can read. Obviously, any kind of Tony Robbins. And also, I think it's important to, you can read so many books, but then if you don't really believe that you can be successful, then it's like all a waste. So the one book that kind of changed my life, or an author, it would be Joe Dispenza. I'm sure you guys have heard of this guy before. It just like teaches you to kind of believe in yourself and all of that. So yeah.
Amazing. Yes. So, Tools of Titans, you said that's the book. Definitely we'll have to check that out. Joe Dispenza is great too. So thank you for sharing. And just with that, we'll give you guys the stage. If you have any final words, any wisdom you'd like to share with our attendees, and if you have about 2 or so minutes, we'll go ahead with you, Desiree, as we close out the session.
Yes, so I will try to answer some of the questions in the Q&A, but I would say the answer to a lot of these, and something that I just generally advise folks to do, is like get out there and talk to people, tell them your dream, tell them what you're looking for, and it doesn't have to be this exact title. I'm looking for this exact title at this exact company, but what is it that you're interested in growing in? What do you want your day-to-day to look like? And I would say, like, don't focus on folks who are director or VP or even hiring managers. Focus on peers, because people move around a lot. People have a lot of connections that you might not realize, and so being able to get into a real relationship with someone where you are able to support them where they are, you're giving, you're taking, you're connecting with each other in a really thoughtful way, it will get you so much further than you can even realize, and just communicating regularly what you're looking for, your progress, your wins, your losses. You'll have a team of people rooting for you and looking for opportunities for you. So multiplies your impact for sure. And thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Desiree. Thank you for everything. And Alexandra, you have any wisdom, anything you'd like to say? Go ahead. The stage is yours.
Yeah, I think that we should all set aside maybe 2 hours of our day every day to just kind of write down exactly how we want our lives to be, because I think work and life just kind of takes you on this like river, and all of a sudden it's 10 years later and you're like, oh wow, I didn't even feel that time passing. So I think it's important to just always be like, okay, no, this is my mission, this is my goal. Because there's going to be so many opportunities coming to you, and that's great and all, but sometimes they take you away from what you really want to do. So I would say just take like 2 hours every day to just like life plan and be really focused on that.
Incredible. Thank you so much, Alexandra. And if you don't mind putting, how can our attendees follow you, or, whether that's social media or anything? I've been keeping up with the chat. Great advice. A lot of kudos to you both about everything. So thank you so much. It's been an honor to have been, moderating this discussion. Keep going. It's important and it's impactful, and we really appreciate you. So with that, we'll be ending this session, everyone, and we'll be meeting, I guess, in the lobby, virtual lobby, and then we'll be preparing for the next session. So stay tuned, because that will be about key techniques to a successful virtual interview, and that will be with Camille Padilla. So stay tuned for that. Thank you again, Desiree and Alexandra. We appreciate you. Bye, everyone. See you soon.
Bye. Thanks.